welcome to the stage. You know her as Suki from Avatar: The Last Airbender, and as Chun-Li from Street Fighter 6, and many, many more. Help me welcome Jennie Kwan! And following right behind her, we have, also from Avatar: The Last Airbender, starring as Sokka. You know him from all that. Welcome to the stage, Jack Sena!
Well, thanks for having us.
Y'all enjoying the valley so far? How's it treating you?
Having a great time. Yeah, what was the song? I'm loud. Fine.
Oh, there it is.
I'm loud.
And ladies and gentlemen, Jennie Kwan and Jack Sena. Could we give them a warm round of applause? Everybody, we have a microphone right over here for y'all's questions, so make sure you get those cooking up. I'll get started with them, and then of course we'll get down to you all. But, so, have y'all tried the food here yet? Have y'all got recommendations?
We have. We've been having wraps during lunch. And there you go.
Had some good barbecue last night. Yeah.
Oh, you mean in Texas? Yes, we've been having some really good.
Just
There it is.
how'd that happen? That's wild. What sort of magic does he have?
Speaking of wraps, you know, tacos, we love your tacos. You gotta try those.
Yes.
We got like La Herradura, we got El Guamoncito, you know, those are places you have to check out. So
Okay.
everyone, make sure you go to their little booths. They're gonna be here all day, and make sure you tell them the best food.
Give me the
spots.
food recs. Give me the recs.
Good to know.
Yes, and let's get down to it. Avatar: The Last Airbender, a hit Nickelodeon show. You know, both of your characters, typically known as, you know, non-benders. I'm sure you've gotten this question a lot, but I just need to know myself. What elements would both of your characters bend, and which ones would you yourself like to bend?
I myself water for sure. I was a water baby. I'm very loyal to the water tribe. And I think like healing, I think is like, for me, one of the coolest things introduced in the show, the water healing. Sokka, I mean, naturally, I think I'd say water, but then trying to think about it, I don't know. I think like his like sort of very grounded inventor side, I think would be pumped about earthbending and the like. Once you get into metal bending and stuff, I think like this dude, let's remember, invented the submarine. So I think he'd do a lot. I think he'd do a lot with some metal bending, some earthbending. I'd go with that.
Yeah, and I would say, true to Suki, she probably would still be of the earth. And I'm a Virgo, so I'm total, I need to be of Mother Earth. And I remember a friend's mother of mine, she's like, oh, Jennie, you're a Virgo, you need to walk barefoot in the grass, you know. I wasn't allowed to walk barefoot as a kid, so now I do it more as an adult. So those would be my answers.
All right, and kind of jumping off that similar question, you know, you mentioned how there's metal bending, how there's these crazy little like subcategories that branch off, like fire bending, you got lightning benders. What was a sort of like martial bending art that you would have liked to see in the show, or imagined up and you're thinking that would be really cool if it was in the show?
So, am I right that like there's water in cells? Okay, so could you water bend, just like crunch somebody? You just like shoot all the water out of their cells and they just sort of compress? That'd be terrible. I
To use that blood bending, I could probably do that.
Yes. What martial arts form?
What martial bending arts would you like to see in the show that you didn't see, like star bending? You got
Oh, geez. Gosh, I haven't even thought about that. You know, the first thing that comes to mind for me, this is a bit odd, I'm just weird this morning, but I don't even know if they even had it in the show, but I'm Filipino, and so there's, I think it's Cueca. I don't know how to even pronounce it. Anybody who's Filipino, please help me. But there is Cueca, I think it's called, and it's not necessarily bending, but it's a sort of martial arts sort of fighting technique that was, you know, centuries ago, and that kind of would have been cool to kind of incorporate into the martial arts that was already existing into, yeah, the show.
Yeah, maybe like some like body bending, some muscle bending, you enhance your punch and you just boom.
Oh, Suki could have used some of that, you know. I mean, she's using her fans, you know, on point. But that would have been cool, kind of like the Incredible Hulk, bulking up once in a while.
That blood bending on yourself to just during training, just like increase blood flow to your muscles. Yeah, that makes sense.
Totally.
And
quicker recovery time.
yeah, if we could talk a little bit about your earlier career, all that. I able to see all that in the audience tonight. Right. Like the first sitcom with mainly focused on children. How was that experience for you?
Yeah, I mean, I had a great time. It was a show that I grew up watching and loved, and so I was really lucky to be a part of it. You know, there's a lot of conversations about that show right now that I think are good conversations to be having. But yeah, it's fun for me.
Awesome, that's great to hear. And Jenny, so could you tell me a little bit more about your earlier career? Like, for example, like you're also credited as a singer. Like, and for example, you also did musical theater. Could you tell me a little bit about your time on stage?
Sure. When I was 18, and I'm just a couple years past 18, I know. But when I was 18, my first major job actually was my first dream as an actress. I played the lead in Miss Saigon, which was the same musical written by the same writers of Les Miserables, if you guys know musical theater at all. But yeah, and then I was singing first, kind of simultaneously singing and acting since I was a kid, but another show I was on for TV incorporated singing, so I was able to do that as well. And yeah, for voiceover, you use a lot of singing from time to time, depending on the project, so thank goodness I have that skill too. Hopefully, still, it's working, yeah.
And I saw this particular musical that you did, Land of Smiles. You know,
yes.
A lot of like serious topics. Can
yes.
you talk a little bit more about that?
So, Land of Smiles actually, for a Sunday morning conversation, had to do with the world of sex trafficking. And wow, at a con. But I'll lighten it up. My girlfriend, who is an amazing, amazing activist, wrote this musical. And so I got to travel to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival to perform in it, and also to Thailand and talk to some of the people this really affects. So not only was it a theater piece, but it was for activism and for healing of the world, and it was one of my favorite things to be a part of. Yeah.
Yeah, it spoke volumes. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
And beautiful music. Not only it just helps people understand what's happening through music and storytelling.
Awesome. And speaking of understanding, what's something that you learned from your characters that you still remind yourself of today? Like, for example, like is everything that Sokka or Suki did that was like, oh my gosh, why don't I incorporate that to my day-to-day life?
Yeah, I think about a lot. The episode, the season 3 episode, Sokka's Master, where Sokka goes off and learns sword fighting. Like kind of the framework of that episode is he's having these doubts about what he contributes to the group and if he belongs and what he brings. He goes off to kind of find himself, and while he's gone, all of his friends are sort of reflecting on all of these wonderful things that he offers and what he contributes to the group. That's the thing I think about a lot, that it's like, you're not always the best at kind of spotting your own strengths and your own contributions, and so like being gentle with yourself and trusting that those things are there and that you have value and you belong in those spaces and in those rooms, I think is like a thing that I remind myself that show helps me with.
And I would say for Suki, I feel really lucky because sometimes, you know, when you're doing these parts, you're not necessarily, you know, that character per se, but I would love to say I have some qualities of this character, and what I'm reminded of is Suki is someone who has a lot of integrity and also is someone who is of service and really takes pride in that, and a lot of, you know, that is something that means something to her. And when people come up to me and remind me of that, and sometimes they'll ask me, and I'm like, well, I hope I'm a little bit like that, you know, but really believes in justice and doing the right thing, you know, and we're human, like we aspire hopefully to do these things, but I feel lucky to even be able to say that I voiced someone and acted and brought someone to life that embodies these qualities.
Right, and Jack, if we could talk a little bit about your project of Lego Monkey Tape as MK. Did you like research the Chinese novel that was based off of.
Yeah, Journey to the West. Yeah.
How was that experience? You know, having another like Asian culture like show that you were working on.
Yeah, I mean it's an incredible story. So it was so cool to be a part of it. It was sort of the like I got cast in it and then got told what, and then I'm reading it and trying to catch up and like yeah. But it's such a beautiful world. I love that show, and I think like the very because it's a show that is drawing off of that source, but then is set in a different part of it and doing its own weird thing, but keeps coming back to interesting characters from Journey to the West. And so I love what they've done with it, and that whole show, just the frenetic kind of joyous style that show has been a blast to record. I love it.
Yeah, and a blast it was. I mean, it was so crazy seeing that divergence from like the Lego movie to like the Lego projects that are like occurring today. It was like Lego Dragon Ball, like with all these like crazy flashy effects.
That was beautiful, like 2D style.
It's such a crazy, but like almost neat departure from like what it was. So how was that? How was it for you being at the forefront of like such an interesting change in the Lego world in a sense?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's when you work on a show, you don't necessarily think about how it's relating to all these other properties and stuff. It's just like, what's the story that we're telling, and how can we make it the strongest? But then when I start seeing the finished products, it was quickly clear, like, wow, they've really done something with this art style and tried some new stuff, and yeah, I think it came out beautiful.
Yeah, and it really did. And jumping on like the whole battle and then these great like amazing scenes from Lego Monkey Kid. Jenny, could you talk a little bit about your experience in Street Fighter 6 as Chun-Li?
Sure. Let's see. What people don't know is when I think I was probably 19 or 20, I booked this gig that my agents were like, okay, they're coming out with this new game, and basically I was the working voice for Chun-Li, but they never tell you what it is, right? And so I actually saw the prototype like that they were creating, and then I didn't get Street Fighter, and I was like, I don't think that's me. And then basically when you audition for video games, a lot of the times they disguise the names of these games because they don't want it being leaked out. So I didn't even know who I was auditioning for until I actually got there. And we actually filmed a movie that got scrapped because it wasn't that good. But then they had some of us come back for the game, and luckily I was able to voice Chun-Li. So it was an intense, great experience. And for those of you who play games or know a little bit about Street Fighter, there's a lot of commands and a lot of call-outs and a lot of grunts and thousands and thousands. So it was a lot of work.
Yeah. Almost a workout. Like how is it?
A definite workout.
Yeah. How has it been in like your most physically demanding roles? And as far as voice acting goes,
yeah.
Like could you speak a little bit about
sure.
Your experience?
What people don't know about video games, especially for someone like Chun-Li who's so iconic, is it was still during the pandemic, and so you have the director and the engineer actually at the booth, but in our case we had several directors and several producers, from Capcom and what have you, and already because she's existing and has existed in different iterations of the game, you want to honor this character. So you have the original Japanese, and then you have the English dub, and they want you to keep the intonation, and you have call-outs, and you have, things that she says, Kikoken, right? Like doing spinning bird kick, and sometimes it has to be exactly on the same speed. You cannot diverge because they have it existing already in the game.
Even though there's like 9 more syllables.
Even though there's 9, 15, who knows, and yeah, and so they want you to keep that quality that Chun-Li has that everybody knows, and like Jack is saying, match, the syllables, and it's close to impossible, and don't go over a millisecond and do it. So that was probably one of the most strenuous endeavors I've taken. I pride myself in knowing how to use my voice, but at one point the director's like, all right, Jenny, I think you're done. I'm like, are you sure I can do it? He's like, please go home. We still have 3 more days of this. So yeah, it was intense, but really cool.
Awesome. You train yourself in such a way that you haven't before?
Yeah. I mean, action sequences in animation are still, they are in their own way quite physical, and all of those effort sounds, all of the, sometimes you're in a fight scene, and so there's a lot of effort sounds, and then also a lot of the dialogue yelled over cities exploding and whatever, so you're in this very heightened state in a little booth for a while, and it takes a lot out of you, and I have asthma, and I gotta like pace myself or whatever. Monkey Kid definitely, we get into some zones where it's just like, all right, this stays intense for like most of this episode, so I gotta really like, but you know, working with great voice directors who really take care of you,
And speaking of, like, you know, them taking care of you, how do you take care of yourselves? Is there like routines, rituals that you have to get into it emotionally, physically before actually coming into the studio or going on set or stage?
Oh yeah, you gotta do a good warm up. You gotta make sure your voice is awake. You gotta do your breath work and be ready. You can't go in cold and then blow your voice right away.
Which sometimes I've made that mistake.
Yeah, definitely done that.
Never. Like for example, last week, because I'll do dubbing, and so last week I'm working on this project, and for dubbing they typically don't tell you what you're doing, and so I go in and it was supposed to be like this dubbing thing, but normally they don't have people come in for. I'm just going on, but anyway. We didn't know, they're like, okay, you guys are gonna be protesters and you're gonna be just like screaming for this, you know, and you're really passionate. And we were like, oh, you could have told us that. But they were like, we're so sorry, we're gonna like just jump into it. And I was like, all right, hope the voice is there, you know, and here we go. Yeah.
And those are some of like the lowest points as like a voice actor, like having to push yourself really hard, but what was some moments that you didn't have to try? Not in the sense of like, oh, you're not, you know, I really don't have to be this character, it's X, Y, and Z thing, but, or it just came to you so naturally because this is simple, this is easy, this is me, this is, like, just flowing out of me so easily because I resonated with that a lot. Was there any scene like that you had where you were just walking out and like, wow, that was me?
Yeah, I mean, I try to have that happen as often as possible because I try to kind of approach the characters from that place of like, okay, what can I connect to myself with so that it can feel very, you know, even if it's someone completely dissimilar from me, what can I find to make it feel really natural, whatever. And then, I've been lucky enough that on a lot of shows that there's been that really kind of warm, creative environment where you can just try stuff. And that was very much true on Avatar, so there were plenty of scenes that I can think of that was just like, oh yeah, we got to just like mess around until we found it. Something like the cactus, all the cactus juice stuff, right? Was very like, this very playful environment where it's like, yeah, let's just go there.
Yeah, I would say similarly, you know, sometimes when I'm auditioning for things, sometimes some things just come easier. It's like, this is a no-brainer. I don't even have to think about this. But yes, I would say also for myself, I try and see if I can identify with what the character is thinking or feeling, you know. And sometimes, you know, you got to use those acting skills if it's a little bit tougher to find, but that's part of the thing. And we know when people ask, what do we need to do to become a voice actor? Well, you got to know how to act and how to access these things that, you know, sometimes you identify with and sometimes you don't.
Right. And I believe we're starting a line here for the
Awesome.
questions, so please.
Yeah, let's do it.
Audience members, if you have questions, what's your name, boss?
Oh, I don't know if his mic is on.
Oh, we need the magic.
Sound.
Hello.
There you go.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Happy to be here and welcome to our valley. My family and I are big fans. We sometimes we're cooking in the kitchen and we say a line from one of your characters and we laugh about it because we're really big fans. I'm a little nervous. Awesome. I have a question kind of based off of what you guys are talking about. Has there ever been a situation where you say, hey, this line is like way out of character for my guy who would never say that? And if so, if that happens, do you guys have a voice for that? And what happens after that? When you just disagree, this isn't something that my guy would say. Does that ever happen, or can you say something like that?
I mean, I would say yes. You usually can. There usually is like a, you know, on a good production, there usually is the ability to say like, hey, this is. Rarely, I don't think I've ever experienced where it's fully just like, oh, I think this feels out of character. I don't think I've ever felt that out of step with the writing. And I don't know. Yeah, maybe I wouldn't. don't know if I would. So something like that. But there's certainly been times where it's been like, oh, this phrasing is coming out of my mouth awkwardly. Usually it's my fault. Usually it's like, I know what we're trying to say here and I'm getting jumbly on this bit. Could we drop this word because we moved this around, whatever. Definitely have had those conversations. And then a lot of times, depending on the show, depending on how present the writers are, sometimes there can be like that back and forth in the room if they're there to be like, oh, let's try it this way. What do you think about this? Whatever. Or even the opportunity to say like, cool, we've got the take as written. We found a great version of it. Now feel free to try one on your own if you want to mess with it at all, if you want to improvise a little. I've been fortunate enough to get to ad-lib a decent amount on stuff. But never from the place, more just like, oh, is there something else we could try? Never from the place of like, oh, I don't think my character would say that. I've never really had that experience on any of the shows I've been fortunate enough to work on.
Cool, yeah, I just wondered about that. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no, totally.
And Jenny, did you have anything to add to that?
Pretty much what Jack said. Again, it depends what the project is. It depends who the producers are, how open they are. Sometimes on games, it is exact, again, because of timing and like if it already is existing. But if it's a voiceover that's not a dub job, there's a little bit more space. It just depends on the project.
Awesome. Next question. What's your name?
It's Sari. So I have a question. So you know how in Avatar: The Last Airbender, we just leave you guys off at the age that you leave off at?
Yeah, what happens to Saga?
Yeah, so it's like in Legend of Korra, we know a little bit of what happens to Saga, but like, what do you think happens to your characters with Suki and Saga? Would they maybe like end up together, like from your own personal perspective, or like?
I definitely imagined them ending up together again, but I haven't had any of that confirmed for me. And I'm curious to see in some of the future stories if they're going to fill in some of those gaps. I'd be really curious and excited to hear more.
Yeah, people always ask us that. For sure.
Do you guys ever reprise your look for that, like in the future, like as adults?
You never know. You never know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
I'm Mike. So this is kind of two completely separate questions for each of you.
Okay.
So sorry. Real quickly on Jax. Now that AI voices are kind of taking over the market to some degree for some people, I've been hearing singing coming out from certain characters, specifically Sokka. Just out of curiosity.
Wait, what?
So what people have been doing is they've been using AI voiceovers for certain characters, and they actually use Sokka's voice to sing certain songs. And I was wondering, what artist do you think he would best represent or sing you? If he could sing, like a popular modern day pop artist.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I got distracted by the AI as well.
Yeah, I know.
Boo to that.
We don't want AI
I'm using my voice.
to. No robot voices.
You guys are obviously the best of the best, so hence why we're here seeing.
Yeah. But what would Sokka sing?
Yeah. Like, do you think you would have more like a Michael Jackson attitude towards?
No, I think it would be like Screamo, and I think it would be bad.
Yeah.
I think Sokka would be a genuinely bad singer with just a lot of passionate energy mischanneled.
And then for you, Ms. Jenny, since you worked with Capcom, just out of curiosity, because it is actually one of my favorite studios, just because of the production of Monster Hunter and a bunch of other games that they produced, also Street Fighter 6. Obviously, you can't tell us if there's any other games coming out, but can you at least let us know if there's any other roles that you are working on for them? Just to like look forward to that.
No. Again, with video games, they are so strict.
Yeah, no.
And if they have any inkling that anybody is saying anything, they will remind you.
Yeah,
for sure.
But yeah, no, appreciate it.
Yeah.
You guys hopefully to see you.
Yeah, for sure.
Hi, what's your name?
Hello, I'm Isabella.
Hey,
Hi, Isabella.
Isabella.
And I have a question for both of y'all. What are you guys' favorite artists, and what do you guys think your characters are like on Saga and Suki? Like, what artists would they like?
Visual artists or music or what?
Anything. It's music, art, whatever you can be into, including you guys.
I like. I'm a big Springsteen guy. That's sort of what I grew up on. Yeah, what was Sokka like? I don't know. It's a good question.
Okay, Suki. Now, Suki, if you guys have read any of the other comics, various through Dark Horse, and she even had her own Dark Horse comic, but Suki is very boy crazy, even though she loves Sokka, but she loves bands and boy bands.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so she is always into these bands, and I should own now that when I was singing, I used to be in 2 pop bands, so I'm very similar, right? So I'm sure she likes all the boy bands that we know, right? She likes NSYNC, she likes Backstreet Boys, she likes Fall Out Boy, she likes boy bands, you know, so I will own that. I'm similar to her. I like the group bands.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Hi, what's your name?
My name is Nicholas. This is a question for Jack. This is a question for Jack. So how do you think, the Dragon Prince.
Yeah.
So what do you think is going to happen next season? What should we...
Well, I know too much. So I can't really speculate, especially because I both know too much and am really bad at remembering what happens in what season, so I'm very afraid. I've already recorded season 6 and season 7, so I'm very afraid to even give teasers because I can never remember what was in season 5 and season 6. But I will say, a lot of incredibly epic stuff is going to happen. I feel like 4 and 5 have really been building up to some really huge payoffs that are coming in 6 and then even more in 7. So I'm really, I can't wait for it to drop. I don't know I don't remember what they've said about when it's coming, but it's soonish. And I can't wait for people to see it because season 6 is wild.
Awesome, thank you. Hi, what's your name?
Hello.
If you were to choose your favorite character besides you, what would it be?
From Avatar?
Yes.
I love Iroh. Iroh is my favorite character. I think straight away from the beginning when I was watching it, I was like, hey, we're kind of parallel, bringing the jokes in these 2 different storylines, and then it quickly became clear. And also, you're bringing this incredible wisdom, and then the way the character developed over time, when we learn more about his backstory, we get into obviously some really beautiful stuff, and Mako's performance was unbelievable, and Greg's shepherding that afterwards was, I think, really remarkable stuff done with that character, and so memorable.
Jenny, what about yourself? Who's your favorite character?
Oh my gosh. Oh, they wrote so many beautiful characters, but it's funny. I will say one of my favorite characters of the show is Azula, and she is Suki's nemesis, right? But it's interesting if you really sort of pick apart maybe why she does some of the things she does. She has a pretty deep backstory, so it's very interesting to kind of see. I don't know if she ever reaches, some sort of neutrality. Am I saying that? Right. But it's really interesting to just kind of see people's backstories and why they become how they are. And in her case, she's not that great of a character, for justice, but she believes what she believes, and sticks to it, and is strong about it, and has this fierceness. So it's just, I find that very interesting.
I would have to say the same. Fire
Yeah.
and passion, and her character is very crazy.
And that's why people love her. I mean, they really do. When we come to cons, too, it's like, and who couldn't love Azula? Because Gray does it.
Hi, what's your name, boss? What's your question?
My name is Joe. Once again, thank you all for being here. My question is for both of y'all. Given the opportunity, which universe, past, present, or future, would y'all love to have worked in?
In the Avatar universe.
Or no, like any like Marvel.
Any Marvel,
So,
gotcha.
X-Men for me, it was a big thing I grew up on. There's so many fun characters in there. It'd be awesome to pop into that world in some place.
So, because I grew up on Hanna-Barbera cartoons and all that stuff, probably that universe, because that's what I grew up watching.
Awesome, thank you.
Miss Darren, and my question is for both of you.
Okay.
How did you guys find out that they were actually going to make a revival of the Avatar series on Netflix, the live-action series?
Oh yeah, just heard about it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even remember. They all of a sudden it was like, they're doing a live action.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah, and then I went to the premiere in LA a couple months ago and got to meet everybody working on it, and what an incredible group of people working so hard and so talented. So I love that that's happening. I love that it's bringing the show to a new audience, and yeah, very exciting.
Thanks so much.
Sure.
Thank you. Hi, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Valeria.
Hi, Valeria.
And I was wondering, since Avatar is just like is so big and has inspired a lot of people, if there was any like fan creations that you guys have seen that have just absolutely blown you away or something.
Oh yeah, constantly. So much of the fan art really is incredible. I'm trying to, there was definitely, I've read, like people have sent me and I've read some like fan fiction that's been super cool. I'm trying to remember. Appropriate stuff. People have also sent me stuff that I have not read. But yeah, I mean, it's such a, there's such a cool community around the show that yeah, it's constant that I'm being tagged in like beautiful fan art that is really, really impressive.
Awesome, thank you so much. Hi, what's your name?
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Oliver. You can call me Soccer.
Yeah, let's go.
So, starstruck right now.
That's okay.
Yeah, so I guess you get to know who my favorite character is.
Excellent taste. Thank you.
My question was for Jack to Sena. I've read a couple times online, like that Sokka was supposed to be like initially a more serious character. That your voice audition kind of like impacted the writers, like they decided to make it more humorous. Is there any truth to that? Or did that
That's something they've said. Yeah. Mike and Brian can speak to that more than I can. That is something that they mentioned to me and have talked about a bit. I read when I read the script, I definitely thought, like I immediately, like the reason I read it comedically is because I definitely thought it was supposed to be like I read in the pilot especially, he's this guy who's really put upon and really like bordering on quite whiny and really defensive and upset about all of this magic going on in the world that he doesn't understand. So all that just naturally to me felt like it could be pushed in a comedic direction, so that's where I took it. And then I think, but then there is that great back and forth that you can have on a character, especially, and this is one of the cooler things about, this is a thing that I think shows, some of the way that shows are made for streaming sometimes suffer from this, where it's like, you make a whole block of episodes that are written in full and then shot in full and then released in full. You don't get as much like back and forth of like, whereas shows that are written as you're going, when you have a 20 episode season, when you do a pilot and then you come back and make more, there's this back and forth process where it's like, okay, they write an episode, you record an episode, you see what happens with the character in that episode. The writing is always a couple of episodes ahead, but it isn't like the whole season written as a block, so you get this sort of discovery process that's possible. So I think that's what was happening there was, I think there was explicit comedy for like definitely stuff that was explicitly comedic, as in definitely comedic, not explicit, But so I leaned into that, and then they were able to go back and lean into it further in the next scripts they were writing, and we found new comedic angles for the character that were happening from both sides, where they were writing more jokes for me, I was pushing those jokes, we were pushing and pushing, so the character got kind of more comedic as we went, and that discovery process I think is so cool.
But you're a great actor too, Jack, and they saw that, and you're very malleable. You know what I mean? And what Jack is saying, it's like back in the day when things were written and not so compacted, there was some air to be able to discover that. And so when you guys see the depth of his character, I mean, it all just came together.
You know, there's some air to bend in between the lines.
No pun intended.
Thank you so much, Saka. Great question.
Fun fact, there was an event like 2 weeks ago. I went like this tour.
There we go! There you go.
Awesome. What's your name, man?
Borke. How you doing?
How's it going?
Going well. Hey, Jack, first off, thanks for being in our Zoe commercial that's playing out there. Shameless plug, but that's him. He's that guy from
That's me. And it's
rock
totally
commercial.
unrelated to me being here. It's just a commercial I shot in December that I got here, and it was on a giant screen right across from me.
So, yeah, that's awesome. And then, yeah, well, there it is, yeah. Awesome. Give it up for Jack.
All right.
And then Jenny, what was your favorite memory about being on California Dreams?
So you guys might be a little young, but I used to be on a TV show that's called California Dreams that was the same producer of Saved by the Bell. I will say my most favorite part is that really didn't happen on the screen, but basically we just had such a good time, and my castmates are still some of my best friends, are like my family. So that is, I cherish that.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My name is Isis, and I have a question for both of you.
Sure.
What do you think is your favorite line, either that you said or another character said in the show? Avatar.
Drink cactus juice. It'll quench you. Nothing's quenchier. It's the quenchies.
Hell yeah. How can I go after that? Mine is not what you guys think it is. Mine is, you never told me you made out with a moon spirit.
Hi there, name's David. Nice to meet you. Big fan when I was growing up with Avatar. Sorry.
That's okay.
So I just want to ask to both Jenny and Jack, what is your all-time favorite memory working on it?
I mean, everything Jane just said about California Dreams is my memory of Avatar 2 is the relationships, the cast. I would most frequently record with Dante Bosco and Mae Whitman. That was our little recording group. Yeah, just hanging out during, hanging out after, going to grab some lunch after a record, and just getting to know these people, and they've become cherished lifelong friendships. Weirdly, we didn't record with Zach, who played Aang. He was based out of Connecticut. I didn't meet him until we wrapped the show. But only now, as an adult doing cons and stuff, I've gotten to reconnect with him and really get to know him, and he's awesome too.
Yeah, I would say similar. You know, it's interesting because my character obviously was a recurring character, so I did a lot of stuff on my own, and then I did stuff with Jack, and then our last episode, it was almost the entire cast, and that was so cool. And then fast forward to now, when we're doing all these cons, we get to see each other in this sort of atmosphere as adults, and it's something that we all share, right? And I will say, not every cast has, like Jack is saying, he's so close with May, he's so close with Dante, you know, and not everybody has that, you know, in these situations, but that when we get together, that it's like we have this special sort of connection. You can't replace that. And in an industry that can kind of just tear people apart, we're lucky to have that. Yeah. Good question. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you.
we all see Avatar regardless, but in your opinion, you think it would actually be more interesting if they were to switch tribes instead of saying the Fire Nation attacked, it would be the Water Nation attacked?
I mean, it's a whole different story. I don't know. So it's fun to imagine those sort of what ifs, but they'd never do them, right? So
Sokka would be like a non-bending Azula.
Oh, I don't like that. Thank you.
Interesting question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Leo.
Hey, Leo.
Love you both.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask, I also have a one-in question. It's if both of your characters were to be born as the Avatar, how do you think they would handle that?
Oh.
Wow. It's a lot to step into those shoes, right? Because that would have to mean that Suki would have to step into the shoes of Avatar Kyoshi. And she would need to mature a little bit more in order to be able to handle something that grand.
Yeah, I think Sokka would have a lot of maturing as well. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff from his character that comes out of this sense of responsibility that he has because his father's gone and he feels like he's got to be like the man of the tribe in this very specific patriarchal way. And I think that would only be like amplified tenfold if he felt the like burden of being the Avatar. But I also love the idea, so I think he'd handle it actually genuinely pretty poorly, and I think he'd take a lot longer than Aang did to mature into the role. But I love also the idea that I've seen like fan theories, or not fan theories, but fan observations, that Sokka is essentially the like non-bending Avatar, that he like travels the world and learns fighting styles from all these different nations and is so in his way, is he already?
He is the Avatar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, it's nice to meet you.
Hello.
I had a question. Out of all the character scenes or character arcs that you guys portrayed on screen, which one resonated with you the most?
Oh, wow.
That's a cool question.
Yeah.
I would say, again, like I said, I try to really bring myself to these characters, and they tend to, sometimes you're doing like two characters at once, you gotta bring whatever, and sometimes I've had the fortune of like I view, like Avatar was a very specific period of my life when I was recording it, and Dragon Prince was another, and Monkey Kid was another, and so they all really I found the way for them to really resonate with me then, right? So like Avatar does really feel like Sokka, there's a lot of who I was in late high school and early college and how I related to that character. And then my mid-20s, I started doing Dragon Prince, and then a little later started doing Monkey Kid. And so yeah, I find the connective tissue for me at each point. And so there are these different like stages of my life that I can kind of see through these characters in a way that is not necessarily obvious to, it's not like one for one or anything, but that I know what part of me is in those, And
I think for me, it's looking back. When people ask me, it's like, do you find yourself similar? And when I look back, I do try, I maybe to a fault, I am a person who likes to be of service to others, and some of the same qualities I see. At the time, I really wasn't thinking that, but it's just now that I look back on it, I'm like, oh yeah, but again, it's interesting. I don't know. It's a funny thing to kind of say, well, I do think I'm like my character. I'm like, well, I don't know. Sometimes you are more, and maybe that's why you get cast, because a lot of times people want to cast the essence of who they think that character is. But then sometimes when you're cast as someone who's like completely evil, we're like, no, that's not me, I'm acting, so, but in this case, I would say, yeah, the essences are very similar.
Thank you,
Let me just say, both of you portray your characters very, very well, and like the show wouldn't have been what it was if it didn't include both of you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah! That was your question.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon. My name is Paul. Joe, I'm sorry. First of all, and I think I
Well, he learned. He learned that everybody had.
So yeah, I've got a thousand questions. But so after the show ended, right, the Nickelodeon show, I know that there were multiple comics that were released after that by Dark Horse. And this is, I think this now a question is more like a suggestion since you're so close with Brian and Michael. If they were to those comics take them into actual shows, right? Like real shows, we would be down to play those characters, both of you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see. I think there's a push to take the character in a different direction. I'm really excited about that. I'm interested to see. So, you know, I'm always around and available, but also very supportive of some of the new conversations that are happening around the casting of the show. So,
yeah, I mean, I might be able to play Suki's older sister by now, but I mean, I'm always open to, you know, if they're thinking of reimagining certain things, or if they ask me to do a different character, I'm definitely open to that.
Oh, there were some comics that were still following the story right after. I think they were supposed to be season 4.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Would be down to still play Sokka if given the chance?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I think they're planning on taking casting in a different direction. I'm very excited about that. I'm very supportive of that. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, my name is Hector.
Hello.
I just wanted to ask a simple question. And what's your favorite villain from the last Airbender series or from the horror series?
I mean, I think I already spoke on mine, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh, I mean, I'm immediately flashing to like, okay, well, this is like Zuko, but is he, you know, like when in the arc can we say, does Jet count? Sort of an antagonist in his own way? Yeah, it's a Jet in sort of a weird way. I don't know if we can call him full-on a villain. There's an interesting question there, but yeah, let's say Jet.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nathan, and I wanted to ask, do either of you have a role that you were like very excited about, and then it goes out and you're like, oh man, I wish I had gotten like more recognition, and like how do you deal with stuff like that?
Monkey Kid is a show that I'm still like very optimistic for finding its audience. It's had a weird path of like U.S. distribution. We made it in English, but it's found a ton of success in the Mandarin dub, which was always the plan. But the U.S. Distribution is like, oh, I still hope it finds its audience because I really am very proud of that show and I love that show. So, and it's definitely so amazing to hear from people at these things who are loving that show and connecting with that show, and I hope it continues to find its craft.
I would say I did this anime called Scissor 7, which is very, very popular in Asia. And some people actually, oh, so you guys know it. Some people know it, and either, I see the feedback, it's like either people are super excited about it, or they're like, oh, maybe it's not for me, which is totally cool. But I love the character arc of the character that I play, 13, the 13th best assassin in the world. She's very steely and very stoic and very cold, but again, her backstory to why she is like that, very different than Suki. We learn why she's the way she is, and she starts to learn how to become more humanized. So it has gotten more attention here in the States, but there are very many different dubs of that anime. English is not its only dub, so it's kind of like a worldwide anime, which is actually kind of cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hi, what's your name and question?
Hi, my name is Patty. For you, Jack. Who do you think Sokka had more chemistry with, Princess Julia?
Wow. Right here. I saw that coming. We'll just say who's sitting up here. We'll just say it. Okay? I'll keep it diplomatic.
You know, I mean, in this life, Some relationships for a season, some for a reason. Come and go. God bless the broken road. Blah blah blah. I cherish both of those relationships. I could honestly say.
Well, keep it diplomatic. Who's sitting up here? Next question. Thank you, Patty.
Hello, my name's Emma. I just want to ask you, what was your favorite character design from the After Last Airbender?
Character design?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a fun question. The two that immediately spring to mind are probably not my real answer, which are, well, okay, so I keep talking about Jet, but Jet's whole crew, I just love the, like, Smellerby is my answer, Smellerby is my honest answer. But, like, the whole look of his crew, of the Duke and Pip and Longshot, are those all right? I think they look really cool, and then my other answer should not be my answer is Sparky Bootman. What a specific look. What an iconic weird look they do.
That was one of mine too.
Co.
I will say my designs, I love all the animal creations. Absolutely, hands down, animal creations and designs.
And then I go a lot to the like sets and backgrounds were so gorgeous, and the Northern Water Tribe in particular, I just think it's like so cool.
I mean, and how were they able to recreate that in the live action if they weren't so beautiful in the animation, right? Because that really blended to the live action.
Awesome. Great question. And what's your name, baby? My question is, what's your favorite episode?
My cheater answer is all of the Siege of the North, part 1 and 2. Again, we're just talking about UA, we're talking about the world designs of Fusion Warriors and all the important lessons that he learns from beloved. Okay.
Yeah. Oh. Wait, what was the question?
Favorite episodes.
Favorite episodes. Oh, wow. There are so many good ones. One of my favorites is Abba's Lost Days, obviously, for me. Yeah, it is, yeah, exactly. And then I actually liked the end series in book 3.
Yeah.
It was the way that they wrote that to wrap it up and how they involved most of all the characters was beautifully written.
Also, shout out Boiling Rock, fantastic Sokka and Suki stuff, while also
really
having the That's Rough Buddy moment. So good stuff there.
Yeah. Oh, are those all the questions?
All right.
We did it.
Awesome. Well, I just love it. So, on screen, you voiced a lot of different characters. How do you go about going through so many auditions, particularly in voice acting? Like, they say that, you're lucky if you get 1 in 100 auditions. How do you deal with the failure, and then how do you deal with the successes when they come around?
It's honestly just it was an early, I started as a kid, it was just like an early acceptance of like, this is the actual job. The job is not necessarily the when you're on set working a thing. That's a very cool part of the job, but the job is asking for jobs all the time. It's just the constant audition thing. You just have to like invest fully in a thing and forget about it immediately, and just not hang out. You guys, with VO stuff, it's usually recording at home and then emailing it, and like when I press send, it has to also send out of my brain and just be forgotten entirely, and then you get a call back later and it's like, what was this? I don't remember. Let me go back and listen to what I did. But
Let go, monkey.
Yeah. But it's an important skill as an actor to just like not be able to artistically and creatively invest in an audition without emotionally investing, without like building expectations, without like getting your heart broken each time. Because it does happen inevitably. There are the ones that, this one for some reason or another, I got too into that. I got too invested in getting that part. And, especially the deeper you get into a process, there are times where it's just like, now I really, really want this and it's gonna hurt. And you just build up that callus and have to know that like, all right, well, the next one's coming and I'll find the thing that's the thing. And
yeah, I mean, I need more of that, like I started when I was a kid too, and I really didn't get that. I used to get really upset and I didn't know how to deal with it, Now, the way way that I look at it is, especially now for VO, because we are by ourselves, for me it's just doing the best I can do. It's not really about anybody else. It's not really about the job. It's what if I look at it super philosophically, it's like, am I doing the best that I can do, or like, am I being as creative as I can, and then letting it go? But it is very true. It is very true. Like, I had this on-camera audition before I got here, and it was something I was like, oh, really? Okay, cool. And then it was like, oh, I kind of want it. And then it's like, no, go do your job. You're going to a con. Do what's right in front of you, and do not get obsessed about this job that is not even there. But it's just like, oh, well, what did I do that I liked about that, which is something that is just a practice. But yeah, exactly. What people don't know is, like, imagine going to an interview for a job once every year. We're doing that almost every day for auditions, for on-camera, for VO, for whatever it is. It's every day. That is our job, to go on interviews. And you have to develop a skill for that. And it's quite a skill.
Yeah, and let the auditions that we've done and the roles that you've got to be a testament to your skill and the impact you've had on our generation. Thank you so much. And the Comic-Con, please, a round of applause for Jennie Kwan.
Yeah, we're going to be there for another couple hours. And photo ops and stuff too. So
Come around.
Come around.
Sign up, everybody. One more big round of applause here.